28 years later delivers an emotional and brutal conclusion that fits the film's haunting tone while laying the groundwork for the franchise's future. The long-awaited third film in the 28 Days Later saga, 28 years later shifts away from returning characters like Jim and instead focuses on a fractured family navigating a virus-ravaged England. At its heart is Spike, a boy on a journey that takes him through horror, grief, and self-discovery. Why Jimmy only appears at the beginning and end. Jimmy Crystal is seen as a child during the Rage virus outbreak in the cold open, the only survivor of his family. He disappears for the rest of the film, only to return in the final moments, now grown and leading a gang of fierce, warlike survivors. His minimal presence adds mystery and tension, teasing his major role in the upcoming sequel 28 years later, The Bone Temple. While his story is intriguing, the focus here is on Spike, his ailing mother Ayla, and his estranged father Jamie, who dies in 28 years later, and why it matters. Death is everywhere in 28 years later, but only two named characters' deaths leave a major impact. First is Eric, a Swedish NATO soldier who saves Spike and Ayla from an infected horde. Eric's fate is grim. He's beheaded by the terrifying alpha infected called Samson. His skull is later used in Dr. Kelson's eerie bone monuments. The more heartbreaking loss is Ayla. From her first scene, she shows signs of serious illness, later diagnosed as terminal cancer by Kelson. Wanting to die peacefully, Ayla has Kelson sedate Spike and says goodbye before walking off with the doctor to be euthanized. Her skull too becomes part of Kelson's memorial, a symbolic resting place in a world consumed by death. What are alphas and the significance of the uninfected baby? The 28 franchise expands its mythology in a big way here. New infected types have emerged, the most fearsome being the alphas, stronger, faster, and smarter versions of the Rage virus victims. They're massive, brutal, and nearly impossible to kill, retaining enough intellect to lead other infected and collect trophies from victims. But the most shocking discovery is that an infected woman can give birth to a baby without the Rage virus. Spike and Ayla help deliver this child while avoiding an attack from the alpha father, Samson. Kelson later explains the placenta protected the child in utero. The baby, later named Ayla, represents hope for the future and becomes central to Spike's growth. Dr. Kelson and the Bone Temples. Initially feared by the survivors, Dr. Kelson is introduced as a reclusive mainland doctor known for constructing mysterious bone temples. He turns out to be surprisingly stable and insightful, having adapted to life among the infected. His bone structures are not trophies but memorials, symbols of respect for the dead. Kelson becomes a quiet emotional anchor for Spike. After Ayla's death, he tells Spike it's as important to remember life as it is to face death. His philosophy, one of remembrance and dignity in a brutal world, deeply impacts Spike and shapes his final decisions. What the film reveals about the rest of the world. While 28 weeks later hinted that the Rage virus had spread to Europe, 28 years later clarifies that it was contained to the British Isles. The rest of the world has returned to relative normalcy, with NATO forces patrolling UK borders to keep the virus contained. Eric offers a glimpse into this outside world, mentioning internet access, Botox, and modern tech. While the UK remains isolated and savage, the rest of the world has moved on, creating a stark contrast and deepening the tragedy of those still trapped on the island. How the ending sets up the Bone Temple. The film ends with Spike escaping Samson and returning home, bringing the uninfected baby with him. He names her Ayla in honor of his mother and leaves her in the care of the village. But instead of staying, Spike chooses to return to the mainland, signaling his commitment to confronting what's left of the world and possibly continuing Kelson's legacy. The final shot teases the arrival of Jimmy and his group, brutal, chaotic survivors who contrast with Spike's hopeful path. Their violent appearance hints they may serve as antagonists in the Bone Temple, as the next chapter explores deeper into the Rage virus, evolving infected and human survivors. The deeper meaning of 28 years later. Like its predecessors, 28 years later isn't just about monsters, it's about grief, survival, and what it means to remain human. Spike's journey from an innocent boy to someone who has experienced loss and trauma reflects the emotional heartbeat of the franchise. Though he loses his mother and nearly everything else, Spike doesn't give in to rage or despair. He finds strength in Kelson's lessons and purpose in protecting the baby and remembering those lost. The film insists that in a world full of death, it's vital to honor life. In the end, 28 years later stays true to the legacy of the series, a terrifying, emotionally rich story that uses horror to explore humanity. With Spike stepping forward as the new lead in the world still full of danger, the next chapter promises to continue the saga in thrilling, tragic, and meaningful ways.